Hello, and thank you for joining today's School Readiness VPK Program Assessment Overview for the 26-27 contract year. We appreciate you taking the time to connect with us as we prepare for another year of program assessments. The purpose of today's session is to provide a clear overview of the School Readiness and VPK program assessment process, including what providers can expect, key requirements, and important updates for the upcoming contract year. Our goal is to make sure everyone feels informed, supported, and prepared for participation in the assessment process. We'll walk through expectations, timelines, and key reminders to help ensure consistency and compliance across all school readiness and VPK contracted providers. As we move through the presentation, we encourage you to keep the focus on clarity and readiness, and to note any questions you may want to follow up on with either your coach or our team after the session. With that, let's get started with our overview for the 26-27 contract year. Before we get started, we'd like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Victoria DeCaria Kerrigan, and I serve as the Assessment Manager with the Early Learning Coalition of Palm Beach County. I've worked in early childhood education for over 15 years, and I've been with the coalition for about 8 years. In my role, I support the class observation process, data reporting, and ongoing quality improvement efforts across programs. Joining me today is Julene Barham Morrison, our assessment coordinator. Julene also brings over 15 years of experience in early childhood education, and she has been with the coalition for about 8 years as well. She works closely with providers to coordinate observations, manage timelines, and ensure everything runs smoothly from scheduling through completion. We're both truly excited to be here with you today. We value the important work you do every day with children and families, and we look forward to walking through this information together and supporting you throughout the process. Before we dive in, here's a quick preview of today's journey. We'll start with the big picture. What is program assessment and why it plays such an important role in supporting quality early learning experiences? Next, we'll talk about exempt providers and who may qualify for an assessment exemption. We'll then explore QPS, the system used to manage your program and classroom information throughout the assessment process. After that, we'll take a closer look at the class framework, the observation tool that helps us understand and measure the quality of teacher-child interactions. We'll also walk through on-site visit procedures so you'll know exactly what to expect when assessment day arrives. Then we'll review assessment results, what they mean, how they're shared, and how they can support continuous improvement. Finally, we'll wrap up with class resources to help you feel prepared, confident, and ready for success. There's a lot of great information ahead, so let's jump in and get started. Let's start with the big question. What exactly is program assessment? Program assessment is designed to take a closer look at the interactions that happen every day between teachers and children in early learning classrooms. As outlined in statute, the focus is on the quality of those interactions that help children learn, grow, and thrive. During the assessment, observers look at important aspects of the classroom experience, including responsive caregiving, emotional and behavioral support, engaged support for learning, classroom organization, and instructional support. Why does it matter? Well, that's because positive teacher-child interactions are at the heart of high-quality early learning. They help build strong relationships, support children's development, and create engaging learning environments where children can succeed. Think of program assessment as a snapshot of what's happening in the classroom. It helps identify strengths, celebrate great practices already in place, and highlight opportunities for continued growth and improvement. At the end of the day, the goal is simple: to support programs in providing the highest quality experiences possible for Florida's youngest learners. Let's clarify which programs are included in the class assessment process. First, all child care providers who have a contract with their local early learning coalition to offer school readiness services for children from birth through kindergarten entry are required to participate in the school readiness program assessment. This includes all age groups, infant, toddler, and pre-K classrooms that serve school readiness children. In addition, the assessment also applies to all VPK classrooms within a VPK program. That means school year VPK classrooms and summer VPK classrooms. Both are required to participate in the VPK program assessment, ensuring that all instructional settings are evaluated consistently and fairly. These assessments help ensure all children, regardless of age or setting, are receiving high-quality teacher-child interactions that support their development. Now that we've covered what program assessment is, let's talk about what observers are looking at during a visit. First, all providers with a school readiness and/or VPK contract participate in the observation process as part of Florida's commitment to supporting high-quality early learning experiences. When observers enter the classroom, their focus is on the classroom as a whole. They're looking at the overall quality of teacher-child interactions and the learning experiences taking place throughout the day. The class tool is specifically designed to measure those interactions between teachers and children. It's important to remember that class is not a child assessment tool. Individual children are never scored, evaluated, or assessed. Instead, the observers consider the experiences of all children who are present in the classroom during the observation. Every child contributes to the classroom dynamic, helping to create the learning environment being observed. Funding sources, enrollment types, and reimbursement rates are not factors in the assessment. The focus remains on the positive interactions, supportive relationships, engaging learning opportunities, and classroom practices that help children learn and grow. At its core, program assessment is about recognizing and supporting quality interactions that make a meaningful difference in children's everyday experiences. Let's talk about how often program assessments take place. All school readiness and VPK programs are required to receive an annual program assessment. This means that once every year, each participating program will be observed and evaluated based on the quality of teacher-child interactions. These annual assessments help maintain consistent standards of quality across all early learning programs, and they provide valuable feedback for continuous improvement. It's important to remember that this is not a one-time process. It's ongoing. Each year brings new opportunities for growth, reflection, and support. Let's take a moment to review the key steps in the annual assessment process. Providers will receive an email notification when they have been assigned an assessment window. This notification serves as the official start of the process and includes instructions for completing and submitting the SRPA registration in QPS. It's important to submit the registration by the stated deadline. Assessment windows may be assigned at any point during the contract year. There is no anniversary date or specific time frame that providers should expect or plan around, so it's important to remain prepared throughout the year. At the same time, providers may request up to 3 blackout dates, including program closures, by replying to the notification email before the deadline. Requests submitted after the deadline cannot be accommodated. Each provider is assigned a 2-week assessment window, and observations may occur on any eligible day within that window without advance notice. For VPK programs, assessments will not begin until at least 15 instructional days after the program start date. For summer VPK programs, observations may begin no earlier than the 5th instructional day. Throughout the process, be sure to monitor all communications and adhere to deadlines. Timely submission of required information helps ensure a smooth assessment experience and allows blackout date requests to be considered. To participate in either the School Readiness or VPK program, providers must meet a specific performance standard. That standard is a minimum composite program assessment score of 4.00, which is rounded to 2 decimal places. This score reflects the overall quality of teacher-child interactions observed in the classrooms across several dimensions of the class tool. Meeting or exceeding this threshold is required for contracting and continued participation in these state-funded early learning programs. New school readiness providers enter the program assessment process in an exempt status and are not required to participate in the school readiness program assessment until they no longer meet one of the state-defined exemption criteria. A provider remains exempt if they meet any of the following conditions: child care centers with less than 20% school readiness enrollment, family child care homes with 2 or fewer school readiness enrolled children, providers that offer only overnight school readiness services between 6:01 p.m. and 6:59 a.m. Once a provider no longer qualifies for an exemption, they become subject to the SRPA requirements and will be scheduled for assessment. Exempt status is not permanent. When a provider exceeds the exemption threshold and completes their initial assessment, they become part of the annual School Readiness Program assessment cycle. From that point forward, the provider is required to participate in annual assessments and maintain a valid assessment score as part of the ongoing school readiness contract eligibility. While exempt providers are not required to participate in SRPA, they remain responsible for complying with all other applicable school readiness and contractual requirements. It is important to understand that exemption from the school readiness program assessment is not permanent. A provider may lose their exempt status if their school readiness enrollment reaches or exceeds the applicable threshold for assessment participation, or they receive disqualifying health and safety violations that require assessment participation under state requirements. When a provider no longer qualifies for an exemption, they become subject to the school readiness program assessment process and will be scheduled for assessment. Once a provider is determined to be non-exempt and enters the assessment cycle, they remain non-exempt moving forward. This means the provider will be required to participate in the school readiness program assessment annually and maintain a valid assessment score as part of ongoing contract eligibility. This process helps ensure consistent quality monitoring across providers serving school readiness children and supports accountability for programs receiving public funding. Although some providers are exempt from program assessment requirements, they still have the option to opt in voluntarily. This means that an exempt provider can choose to participate in the program assessment process. This decision is made at the time of contract execution, so it's important to communicate your choice early. Once a provider opts in, the assessment must be completed within 60 calendar days of their registration in the quality performance system. Opting in can be a great opportunity for providers who want to receive feedback and support to strengthen the quality of their instructional practices, even if they're not required to participate. Now let's talk about dual assessments and the opportunities they can provide. When a VPK classroom is observed as part of the School Readiness Program Assessment, or SRPA, that observation may also satisfy the requirements for a VPK program assessment, or VPK-PA. In other words, one observation can potentially count for both programs when all required criteria are met. To qualify as a dual assessment, the observation must meet the rules and requirements established for both SRPA and VPK-PA. When that happens, it can help streamline the assessment process for your program. It's also important to remember that SRPA classroom selections are made randomly. This means that even if your site has a VPK classroom, any eligible pre-K classroom may be selected for observation. The good news is that this approach highlights the importance of maintaining strong, consistent practices across all pre-K classrooms. When quality interactions and engaging learning experiences are happening throughout your program, every classroom is prepared to showcase the great work being done each day. The goal is to ensure that all children, regardless of classroom assignment, benefit from the same high-quality early learning experiences.
Now we'll go ahead and take a look at the QPS registration process. Let's go ahead and walk through what you can expect once your assessment process begins. At some point during the contract year, you will receive an email titled QPS registration due. Since assessment windows can be assigned at any time throughout the year, there's no specific anniversary date to anticipate, so it's important to monitor your email regularly. This notification will include your assigned 2-week assessment window, your registration deadline, and instructions for submitting up to 3 blackout dates. Blackout dates should be reserved for planned closures, holidays, special events, or for VPK programs, non-instructional days. To complete the QPS registration, you will simply log in to QPS through the SSO System Provider portal and complete all required registration tasks by the deadline provided. Completing registration on time helps ensure a smooth and efficient scheduling process. Be sure to submit any blackout dates before the deadline. And please note that due to scheduling timelines, late requests cannot be accommodated, so timely submission gives us the best opportunity to consider your scheduling needs. A little preparation goes a long way, and staying on top of these deadlines will help make sure that your assessment experience is as seamless as possible. As a part of the updated access process, all users will now need to log into the Quality Performance System, or QPS, using the newly adopted Single Sign-On System, also referred to as SSO. You'll enter using your unique credentials. Once you're in, you'll be able to complete your program assessment task and update the necessary information. If you experience any login issues, please don't wait. Contact your assigned provider services specialist directly. They're your go-to resource to ensure your access is working properly and you're staying on top of all of your upcoming deadlines. Once you've successfully logged in through the single sign-on system, you'll arrive at this page. Look for the section labeled Program Assessment and click the purple Launch button below it. This will take you directly to the registration screen. Here, you'll see a green banner labeled Needs Registration. You'll click the Go To button to begin submitting your program registration details. Please make sure you complete this step by the specified deadline to stay in compliance. Once you've clicked on Go Register, you'll be directed to the QPS registration form. This form will ask you to enter key details such as your program's name, your job title, phone number, and email address. It is important that your email address is correct and up to date, as this is how we'll communicate with you throughout the assessment process. After completing this section, you will continue on to enter information about your site's profile, your educators, and your classrooms. Be sure to review everything carefully before submitting to avoid delays in processing. The key to a smooth observation process is ensuring that all staff and classroom information is entered accurately and kept up to date. When entering staff, every educator working in the program must be added to QPS. For classroom teaching staff, simply select Teacher from the drop-down menu as there's no separate designation for lead or assistant educators. Be sure to enter hire dates accurately as this information is used to monitor the 15-day compliance requirement for new hires. It is especially important that all staff members who may be present in the classroom are entered in QPS. This includes floaters and substitutes. These staff members should be entered under the Other Staff section using the appropriate role designation. And just to note, these staff members will not need to be assigned to a classroom. This is an important reminder. If a staff member is present in a classroom on the day of the observation but has not been entered in QPS, they will not be permitted to remain in the classroom during the observation. To avoid disruptions, please ensure that all staff records are complete and current before your assessment window begins. For VPK classrooms, staff information must also be entered accurately in the VPK application, and classroom names must match those listed in the ELC portal. Next, you'll enter your classroom information and be sure to include all classrooms serving children from birth to kindergarten entry and use your program's current classroom names. When selecting a class tool, choose a tool that corresponds with the age group representing the majority of the children in the classroom. For language of instruction, select the primary language most consistently used throughout the day. If instruction is provided in both English and Spanish, you'll then select Spanish. Taking a few moments to verify your staff and classroom information can help prevent scheduling issues, avoid observation day disruptions, and ensure the assessment process runs as smooth as possible. Once all educators and classrooms have been entered into QPS, the final step is submitting your registration for review. When you click Submit, an acknowledgement window will appear. By selecting Submit, you are confirming that your program is agreeing to allow class observations to be conducted in any and all classrooms by coalition staff or approved third-party assessors. This submission serves as your program's official notification that you are ready to be observed. Please take the time to review all information carefully before submitting. Once we receive your QPS registration and your blackout dates, you will be sent a confirmation email, which will include instructions and a deadline to upload class list for your program. Please note that submitting your QPS registration is a contractual requirement. If the registration is not submitted, we're unable to move forward with the observation process as we do not have documented authorization to conduct assessments in your classrooms. Failure to submit your registration may be considered noncompliance with contract requirements and may result in the observation not being completed. Programs that do not receive an assessment score may be assigned a no score designation. Because a valid assessment score is required for contract eligibility, a program without a score may be ineligible to enter into a contract for the following program year. Therefore, to avoid delays, compliance issues, and potential impacts to future funding eligibility, please ensure your QPS registration is complete and submitted by the required deadline. Once your QPS registration has been submitted, your program has officially moved into the next phase of the assessment process. You'll notice your status changes to pending composite score. Think of this as your program's way of saying we're registered, we're ready, and we're waiting for our assessments. After your assessments have been completed and scores have been finalized, your status will update to reflect your results. You may see annual composite score, indicating your assessment results meet contract requirements, Or you could see QIP composite score, meaning your program will have the opportunity to participate in a quality improvement plan designed to support continued growth and success. You could also see score below contract threshold, indicating that follow up actions may be required based on contract requirements. These status updates are more than just labels. They help guide the next steps for your program and ensure you have the information and support needed moving forward. The good news is that throughout this process, you'll be able to track your status directly in QPS, making it easy to see where your program is in the assessment journey. Monthly roster submissions, your monthly check in. Think of your monthly roster submission as a quick health check for your program's data. It helps ensure everything is accurate, up to date, and ready when assessment time comes around. As a reminder, submitting your roster by the 15th of every month is a contractual requirement. Even if nothing has changed since last month, you'll still need to submit a roster to remain in compliance. Before submitting, take a few moments to review your information and update any staffing or classroom changes. This includes new hires, staff departures, classroom openings, classroom closures, or any other changes that have occurred since your last submission. The good news is that QPS makes it easy to stay organized. You can review your roster submission history at any time to confirm your previous submissions and keep track of your records. You'll also receive helpful reminder emails from both QPS and the ELC, so be sure to watch out for those notifications each month. And if you spot a red exclamation mark in QPS, think of this as the system's friendly reminder that something needs attention. Common issues include a staff member who has not been assigned to a classroom that is missing an open date, or an educator's record that is missing a start date. Resolving these items before submitting your roster helps keep your data accurate and prevents delays down the road. One important tip: since monthly roster submissions cannot be backdated and QPS only accepts submissions for the current month, adding it to your monthly routine can save you time and stress later. Finally, if your program status in QPS is listed as exempt, monthly roster submissions are not required. A few minutes each month can make a big difference. Keeping your roster current helps ensure accurate assessments, smooth scheduling, and a more seamless experience throughout the year. QPS registration tips for success. Before you begin your QPS registration, a little preparation can make the process quick, easy, and stress free. Start by gathering your staff files so you have important information readily available when entering employee details into the system. You'll also want to have your current class lists nearby. These can help verify classroom assignments, age groups, and ensure all information is accurately entered. When entering staff information, be sure to use each educator's legal name exactly as it appears on their identification. This helps ensure records are matched correctly and prevents delays caused by data discrepancies. For classrooms, use the names your program currently uses and ensure they are entered consistently across all systems. If you're registering a VPK classroom, the classroom name must match the name listed on your official VPK application. For example, if your VPK application lists the classroom as AF26 Class A, that is the exact name that should be entered in QPS. A few minutes of preparation up front can save time later and help ensure your registration is accurate, complete, and ready for approval on the first submission. Keeping your ELC provider portal up to date. Think of your ELC provider portal as your program's digital front door. It helps ensure everyone has the most current information when it's needed. One of the simplest ways to stay on track is by regularly reviewing your contact information. Be sure your email address and phone number are most current so you don't miss important notifications, deadlines, or assessment related communications. It's also a good idea to routinely verify your hours of operation and closure dates. Keeping this information accurate helps ensure scheduling and communication reflect your program's actual availability. For VPK providers, there are a few additional items to review. Make sure the educator information is current and that all active VPK classrooms are accurately listed on your VPK application. This information should align with what is entered in QPS to help avoid discrepancies during the assessment process. You'll also want to confirm that all non-instructional days are entered and kept up to date. Maintaining these dates helps support accurate scheduling and can prevent unnecessary conflicts during assessment windows. A quick review of your provider portal each month can go a long way. Keeping information current helps ensure smooth communication, accurate records, efficient scheduling, and a seamless assessment experience for your program. Once your QPS registration has been submitted and your class lists have been uploaded, you'll move on to the next step in the process, the SRPA information session. Think of this as your opportunity to connect with the program assessment team and make sure everything is set up for success before your assessment window begins. The session takes place by phone and is designed to be informative, collaborative, and helpful. During the call, a program assessment team member will review your registration details, verify that all information is accurate, and answer any questions you may have, as well as approve the reviewed registration. We'll also walk you through the assessment procedures, discuss what to expect during the observation process, and ensure you're comfortable with the upcoming steps. This final checkpoint helps ensure everyone is on the same page and that all required information has been reviewed before assessments begin. By completing the information session, you'll have the confidence of knowing that your program is prepared and ready for a smooth assessment experience. Here we have an additional step for VPK providers. For providers who participate in VPK, the registration process looks a little different. Rather than completing a QPS registration, you'll receive a notification that includes your assigned assessment window along with a link to complete an online registration form. This form serves as your registration process and provides our team with the information needed to prepare for your observation. The form will ask for the number of active VPK classrooms at your site, up to 3 blackout dates for planned closures, special events, holidays, or non instructional days, the primary language of instruction used in each VPK classroom, and the names of the instructors assigned to each classroom. As with all assessment related information, accuracy is important. Taking a few minutes to carefully review and complete the form helps ensure that classroom information, instructor assignments, and scheduling details are correct before observations begin. Be sure to pay close attention to the submission deadline included in your notification. Blackout date requests must be submitted by the deadline in order to be considered during scheduling. Due to scheduling timelines, late submissions cannot be guaranteed. So, timely completion of the form is the best way to ensure your requested blackout dates can be accommodated. Once your registration form has been submitted, you're one step closer to your observation window and ready for the next phase of the assessment process. Now, Victoria will walk us through understanding VPK instructional hours.
Let's play a quick game of instructional time or not. When it comes to VPK, instructional time is much more than simply being in the classroom. It's the time when meaningful learning is happening through intentional, engaging, and standards-based experiences. So what does count? Activities that build early literacy, language, and math skills, lessons and experiences aligned with Florida's early learning and developmental standards, instruction that is responsive to children's individual learning needs and interests. During instructional time, teachers should be actively involved, guiding, encouraging, questioning, and supporting children's learning. Think of it as learning with a purpose, not just supervision. Instruction should be curriculum-based and delivered by appropriately credentialed staff, whether that's a lead teacher, aide, director, or substitute serving in the classroom. Now for the other side of the game. Things like staff breaks and planning periods, nap or rest time, parties, celebrations, or recess without a learning objective. Unstructured free play that is not connected to intentional instruction. A helpful way to think about it is this. If there's a planned learning goal and an educator is actively supporting children's learning, it likely counts as instructional time. Understanding these distinctions helps ensure accurate reporting. It supports compliance with VPK requirements, and most importantly, highlights the valuable learning experiences happening in your classrooms every day. One question we hear often is, does outdoor play count as instructional time? The answer is yes, but only when learning is intentionally built into the experience. Outdoor time becomes instructional time when educators are actively engaging children in curriculum-based learning experiences. Think of teachers facilitating games that build math skills, encouraging language development through conversations, exploring science concepts in nature, or helping children solve problems and work together. The key difference is intentionality. Educators shouldn't simply be supervising from the sidelines. They should be interacting with children, asking questions, extending learning, modeling skills, and creating meaningful learning opportunities throughout the activity. As you prepare your VPK schedule and lesson plans, make sure outdoor learning experiences are planned, connected to your VPK curriculum, and easy for an observer to recognize as instructional. Observers should be able to clearly see the learning objective and the educator's active role in supporting children's development. When learning extends beyond the classroom walls, outdoor spaces can become some of the most engaging and effective environments for teaching and learning. As we wrap up this section, let's review a few simple reminders that can help keep your program compliant while supporting high-quality learning experiences for children. First, be sure to submit your attendance records and monthly staff rosters on time. These submissions are an important contractual requirement and help ensure your program information remains accurate and up to date. Next, take a look at your daily schedule. It should clearly identify which portions of the day are instructional and which are non-instructional. This helps demonstrate that instructional time requirements are being met and that learning opportunities are intentionally planned throughout the day. And remember, every instructional hour must be led by a qualified, approved, and actively engaged instructor. A helpful way to think about this is to do a quick self-check throughout the day. Ask yourself, am I actively teaching, guiding, facilitating, or observing children's learning? Are children meaningfully engaged in the activity? Does this experience support a developmental or academic learning goal? If the answer is yes, you're likely creating the kind of intentional learning experiences that support both compliance and quality. By keeping these key reminders in mind, you'll be well positioned to meet VPK requirements while providing engaging, meaningful learning opportunities for every child. Let's take a closer look at the group size and ratio requirements for both school year and summer VPK programs. These requirements are designed to support safe, effective, and developmentally appropriate learning environments for all children. The school year VPK program consists of 540 instructional hours, which is designed to align with the traditional school year calendar of approximately 180 instructional days, averaging about 3 hours of instruction per day. For school year VPK, the maximum class size is 20 children, including any multi-class group settings. This maximum enrollment cannot be exceeded. Programs may operate with one instructor for every 11 students, or one lead instructor and an approved aide serving up to 20 children total. It is important to remember that the presence of 2 lead instructors does not increase the allowable enrollment beyond the established limits. Class size requirements must be maintained at all times. The summer VPK program provides 300 instructional hours in a condensed time frame and is intended to prepare children for kindergarten through a more intensive learning experience. Unlike the school year model, summer VPK is designed to provide a longer instructional day. While schedules may vary, programs should ensure that daily instructional hours remain developmentally appropriate for 4-year-old children, balancing learning opportunities with children's attention span, engagement levels, and the need for movement and breaks throughout the day. For summer VPK, the maximum group size is 12 children. The required ratio is 1 instructor to 12 children. If an approved aide is present, the maximum enrollment remains 12 children. Additional staff members do not permit larger group sizes or increased enrollment. These requirements help ensure that all VPK children receive high-quality instruction in environments that are safe, manageable, and supportive of their learning and development. As a reminder, compliance with ratio and group size requirements is expected throughout the entire VPK program hours, not just during observations or monitoring visits. Now let's review an important foundation for quality and safety in early childhood settings, the adult-to-child ratio and maximum group size for school readiness contracted providers. These standards must be followed at all times without exception. They are not flexible guidelines, they are required for compliance and program integrity. Here's what the standards look like. Birth through 1 year, 1 adult to 4 children with a max group size of 12. 1 to 2 years, 1 adult to 6 children, max group size of 12. 2 to 3 years, 1 adult to 11 children, max group size 22. 3 to 4 years, 1 adult to 15 children, max group size 30. 4 to 5 years, 1 adult to 20 children, max group size 40. 5 years and older, 1 adult to 25 children, max group size 50. So what do these terms mean? The ratio refers to how many children one adult can be responsible for at any given time. The group size maximum is the absolute limit on how many children can be in a single classroom or group. Together, these requirements support safe environments and help ensure teachers can fully engage with and respond to children throughout the day. It's also important to note that if we encounter a situation where a program is out of ratio or exceeds the group size limits, we are mandated to report this to the Department of Health. These standards are in place to protect children, support educators, and ensure consistent, high-quality care across all school readiness contracted providers. What is CLASS? CLASS stands for the Classroom Assessment Scoring System, and it's an observation tool developed by Teachstone. This tool focuses specifically on the quality of teacher-child interactions in early learning settings. Why is it important? Because these interactions, how we engage with children, how we support their thinking and development have a direct impact on learning outcomes. Using class, we can create a shared understanding of what high-quality interactions look like in your program. This shared language helps align staff, supports coaching efforts, and guides improvement across the board. What's more, class provides the foundation for a system of continuous data-driven improvement. The insights from class observations help identify strengths and opportunities for growth. And finally, the goal of class isn't just scoring. It's supporting your teaching practice through personalized professional development so that you and your team can continually grow and succeed. The class tool is designed to be developmentally appropriate for different age groups, and it's currently divided into 3 distinct levels. The infant class, which is used to observe interactions with children from birth to 18 months. At this stage, the focus is on nurturing, responsive care, and early emotional connections between caregivers and infants. The toddler class applies to children between 19 and 35 months. Here, observers look to find supportive environments that promote language development, social emotional growth, and exploration. Pre-K class covers children from 36 months up to kindergarten entry. This version emphasizes instructional support, classroom organization, and emotional and behavioral development in a more structured learning setting. Each version of the class tool is tailored to reflect what high-quality interactions look like at that specific stage of development. The class tool breaks down teacher-child interactions into developmentally appropriate domains that align with the child's age group. For the infant class, the focus is on one domain, responsive caregiving. This includes warm, nurturing interactions that help infants feel secure and form strong attachments, which are the foundation for future learning. The toddler class observers look at 2 key domains, emotional and behavioral support, which looks at how teachers help toddlers manage emotions and behaviors, and engage support for learning, which focuses on encouraging exploration and curiosity through intentional hands-on interactions. Then the pre-K class expands into 3 domains. Emotional support, which reflects how well the teacher builds positive relationships and fosters a warm, supportive environment. Classroom organization, which is focusing on behavior management and productivity. And instructional support, which captures how teachers promote thinking, problem solving, and language development. Each domain is designed to ensure that children are experiencing meaningful, developmentally supportive interactions every day. Beginning July 1st, we will officially transition to the second edition Class Pre-K Observation Tool for all classroom assessments. While the foundation of class remains the same, focusing on meaningful teacher-child interactions that support children's learning and development, the second edition includes several important updates designed to improve clarity, consistency, and usability. One of the most noticeable changes in the updated language throughout the tool. Many indicators, behavioral markers, and descriptions have been revised to better reflect current early childhood practices and to provide clearer guidance for educators, coaches, and observers. These updates make the tool easier to understand while maintaining alignment with the research-based interactions that provide positive outcomes for children. The class domains remain the same: emotional support, classroom organization, and instructional support. The dimensions within each domain also remain familiar, including positive climate, educator sensitivity, behavior management, productivity, concept development, quality of feedback, and language modeling. However, the descriptors and examples used to define effective interactions have been refined to better capture what high-quality practices look like in today's classrooms. The transition to the second edition is not about changing what quality interactions are. It is about providing clearer, more accessible language and stronger guidance to support continuous improvement. Additional resources, training opportunities, and support materials to help programs become familiar with the updated tool and expectations are available from Teachstone, as well as our ELC training calendar and our coaching team. We're excited to begin this transition together and look forward to supporting you as we move to the second edition class pre-K framework on July 1st. How many classrooms are assessed? Let's go over how classrooms are selected for class observations. The selection process is random. The system used by the Division of Early Learning makes the selections automatically. For infant, toddler, and pre-K age groups, 50% of classrooms will be chosen for assessment. If a site has an odd number of classrooms, the system will round up. For example, if there are 3 toddler rooms, the system will select 2 for observation. If there are 5 infant rooms, 3 will be assessed. For VPK classrooms, it's important to note that 100% are required to be assessed. Every VPK classroom on the provider's application must receive a class observation. This process helps ensure fairness and consistency across all provider types and age groups. Let's take a quick moment to demystify a word you'll hear throughout the process: observer. According to the Division of Early Learning, an observer is a certified, reliable professional who is specifically trained to assess the age group they are observing. They meet the qualifications outlined in Form DEL SR 740 and are trained to ensure consistency, accuracy, and fairness in every observation. Now here's the easy part. In our organization, we call these professionals assessment specialists. So if you hear observer or assessment specialist, don't worry, they're the same role with same purpose. These trained professionals are in your classrooms to capture an objective snapshot of what's happening during the day using the class tool. Their focus is on documenting interactions, engagement, and learning in a consistent and reliable way. In short, different name, same role, and they're here to support a fair and accurate understanding of classroom quality. Let's take a moment to pull back the curtain and introduce the team supporting your class assessments. Our assessment specialists are highly trained professionals who are committed to delivering fair, accurate, and reliable classroom observations. Their work is all about capturing an authentic snapshot of what's happening in early learning environments. Each specialist is trained and certified directly by Teachstone, the organization that developed the class tool. Their preparation is thorough, hands-on, focusing on observation skills, scoring reliability, and a strong foundation in child development. Most members of our team also bring deep professional expertise in fields such as early childhood education, exceptional student education, child development, and related early learning disciplines. This background helps them better understand the dynamics of the classroom and the developmental needs of the children being served. To keep everything consistent and high quality, our team participates in monthly calibration sessions. Think of it as a team tune-up that ensures everyone stays aligned and scoring remains accurate across all observations. We also strengthen reliability through internal double coding practices and ongoing collaboration with Teachstone, which adds an extra layer of quality assurance. And here's something exciting. Many of our assessment specialists are also certified class trainers. That means they're not only experts in observing classrooms, but they're also equipped to coach and support educators in strengthening interactions and improving classroom quality. So when your program is being assessed, you can feel confident knowing it's in the hands of a team that values accuracy, consistency, and continuous growth for both educators and children.
We will now look at the on-site procedures for assessment day. Let's walk through what your on-site class visit will look like so you'll feel fully prepared and confident ahead of time. Assessment specialists will visit your program during regular operating hours. For school readiness programs, visits typically occur in the morning, especially when children arrive earlier in the day, but could occur at any time within your operating hours. For VPK programs, assessment specialists may arrive before instructional hours begin to verify classroom and staff information. However, please note that the actual observation can take place at any point during approved VPK instructional hours. During the on-site visit, you can expect the following. Class lists and educator assignments will be reviewed for accuracy. Assessment specialists will introduce themselves to classroom staff. All educators selected for observation must present a valid government-issued photo ID for verification. And please note that a director is not required to be on site as long as there is a designated staff member available to confirm classroom and educator information. You might be wondering who can be observed. For school readiness, any educator assigned to the classroom for at least 15 days may be observed. For VPK, the lead educator, assistant educator, VPK director, or an approved substitute may be observed. Here we have some important reminders. Only educators who are properly entered in QPS and or the provider portal may be present in the classroom during the observation. Volunteers are not permitted in the classroom during observations. All observed educators must present valid, government-issued photo ID for verification. In addition to classroom observations, the lead assessment specialist on site will also conduct a school readiness and VPK group size and ratio check for all classrooms. This is a required part of the visit and helps ensure compliance with program standards. Overall, the visit is designed to be structured, supportive, and consistent, providing a fair and accurate snapshot of everyday classroom practices across your program. Let's walk through what you can expect during the class observation process so everything feels familiar ahead of time. First, RBTs and therapists are welcome to remain in the classroom during the observation. Their presence is considered a part of the natural classroom environment and does not interfere with the observation in any way. However, any negative interactions observed that impacts a child or the classroom environment are taken into account. Once the observation begins, the assessment specialist remains in the classroom for the full duration of the visit. During this time, they're completely silent and strictly observing. There's no interaction occurring with children or staff, or no supervision of activities. Their role is focused entirely on observing and documenting classroom interactions. The observation follows a structured, cycle-based format. The assessment specialist observes and takes detailed notes for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. This is followed by about 10 minutes of scoring and reflection. This cycle is repeated for a total of 4 cycles. This consistent structure helps ensure that what is captured reflects the natural rhythm of the classroom throughout the observation period. Take a look at where observations can happen and how flexible and classroom friendly the process is during your assessment window. Infant and toddler classrooms. Observations can take place indoors or outdoors as long as meaningful interactions are happening. The focus is always on engagement, connection, and quality interactions, no matter where learning is happening. Pre-K classrooms may also be observed outdoors when learning is intentional. If outdoor time is not instructional, the assessment specialist will simply pause the observation and resume once the class transitions back into the classroom. For BPK classrooms, outdoor learning can be included in the observation, but only when it meets VPK instructional hour requirements. That means the activities must be planned, structured, curriculum based, and guided by a qualified instructor. Think intentional learning, not just recess. As far as observation timing, sometimes more than one visit may be needed to complete all the observations required at your site. That's completely normal and a part of the process of ensuring a full, accurate picture of classroom interactions are observed. If any scheduling adjustments are needed due to special circumstances, our team will communicate with you directly and may extend the observation window when appropriate. Overall, the goal is simple to capture authentic, everyday learning wherever it happens. You may be wondering what's the best way to get ready for a classroom observation? The answer is simpler than you might think. First, it's helpful to let children know that a friendly visitor will be coming into the classroom sometime in the coming weeks. Keeping it calm, a matter of fact, helps set expectations without changing the flow of your typical day. It's also completely normal to feel a little excited or even a bit nervous. But the best approach is to keep your routine just as it is. No special changes, no extra activities, and no need to do anything differently. The goal of the observation is to capture what a typical everyday learning experience looks like in your classroom. That means authentic interactions, familiar routines, and the natural learning environment you've built with your children. So, the best way to prepare is simple: do what you do best, teach, engage, and enjoy your day with the children. Let's talk about what the class observer is really focused on, because it's probably simpler than you think. During the observation, the assessment specialist is paying close attention to how children interact with their educators and with each other throughout the day. They're also looking at how interactions support learning, how children respond, engage, communicate, and participate in everyday classroom experiences. And here's the most important part: they expect things to happen. Children will be children, there will be moments of excitement, challenges, and everything in between. What matters most is not perfection, but your response. Observers are looking at how educators support, guide, redirect, encourage, and extend learning during those everyday moments. So instead of trying to create a perfect classroom, the goal is simply to demonstrate real interactions and authentic teaching moments, because that's where the strongest evidence of quality really shines. Throw up a common question: what exactly is the observer doing in my classroom? Class observers are trained to be as unobtrusive as possible so the classroom day can continue naturally. Their goal is to blend into the background so they don't disrupt the flow of learning or interactions. During the observation, educators are encouraged to simply carry on with their day. There's no need to focus on the observer. They may appear quiet, neutral, and highly focused as they take notes. At times, they might write frequently, and at other times, they may pause and observe without writing. All of this is a normal part of the process. Observers may also move around the classroom when needed to better see and hear interactions, but always in a way that minimizes disruption. Most importantly, their attention is on the overall classroom experience, how children engage with learning, interact with peers, and connect with all the educators present in the classroom. So the best approach is simple: keep teaching, keep engaging, and let your everyday classroom shine. After all observations have been completed, you might be wondering what happens next. But There's just a few final steps before results are actually shared with your program. You can expect to receive your composite score notification within up to 14 days after all observations have been completed. This timeline allows for careful review and final processing of all assessment data. There is a key difference in how summary reports are accessed depending on your program type. School readiness providers will receive an online link in their notification email to request the summary reports. VPK providers will have their summary reports automatically uploaded within 14 days after the score notification is sent. All reports are now housed in the Coalition portal under Documents Library and are no longer emailed directly. You'll be able to find the reports in the Program Assessment folder for easy access and ongoing reference. These reports are designed to give you a clear and detailed view of your results and support continued program improvement and planning. And with that, I'll hand it over to Victoria to walk you through how class composite calculations work.
When we talk about the composite program assessment score, we are referring to an overall measure of program quality based on class observations. This score reflects the program as a whole, not individual classrooms. It's designed to provide a broad snapshot of the quality of teacher-child interactions across the program. It's important to note that the system does not generate individual classroom scores. Instead, all observations are combined to create one unified program level score. This final score is used as an indicator of program quality and helps determine whether a provider meets the required threshold for school readiness and VPK participation. The class composite score is a simple way to show the overall quality of a program based on what is observed in classrooms. Here's how it works in plain terms. First, observers conduct class observations in all selected classrooms. Each classroom then receives scores across several interaction areas, what we call dimensions, with negative climate excluded from the calculation. Next, all of those dimension scores from every observed classroom are combined together. Then they are averaged into one overall score that represents the entire program, not any single classroom. Once all observations are completed and included, the final score is calculated and rounded to 2 decimal places. In short, it takes all the classroom interaction scores from the dimensions, averages them together, and produces one overall score that reflects the quality of the teacher-child interactions across the program. Program assessment composite scores are considered final in alignment with the School Readiness Program Assessment Guidance. Because of this, there is no formal appeals process for these scores. When we look at class scores, think of them as a snapshot of what's happening in the classroom and how consistently it's happening. A low score, 1 to 2, means the behavior was rarely seen or not seen in a meaningful way. A mid-range score, 3 to 5, means the behavior showed up sometimes, it was there, but not consistently or not for all of the children. A high score, 6 to 7, means the behavior was strong, steady, and happening for most or all children throughout the observation. Class observers are trained to notice more than just whether something happens. They look at how often it happens, how well it's done, and how many children are included. So instead of checking boxes, class helps us understand the full classroom experience from the children's perspective. Let's take a look at this slide, which shows the national averages across the 3 class domains based on the Office of Head Start's 2020 Class Descriptive Statistics. You can also find the most current statewide updates on the Florida Department of Education website. Starting at the top, emotional support leads the way with an average score of 6.03. This tells us that across many programs, classrooms are doing a strong job creating warm, positive environments where children feel safe, supported, and connected. Next is classroom organization with an average of 5.78. This reflects solid practices in managing behavior, keeping routines smooth, and making the most of learning time. Finally, instructional support has an average of 2.94, which is notably lower than the other domains. This highlights an important opportunity for growth, especially in areas like rich conversations, concept development, and high quality feedback that extend children's thinking. Looking at these benchmarks helps us zoom out and see the bigger picture, celebrating strengths while also identifying where we can continue to grow and strengthen practice for children. If the Early Learning Coalition identifies a program as an essential provider, a waiver may be issued so that the program can continue operating despite scoring below the threshold. In these cases, the provider is required to complete a quality improvement plan or a QIP. This plan is a 12-month targeted strategy that focuses on enhancing program quality by setting clear performance goals and outlining steps to improve. The QIP is designed to help programs address areas needing improvement, meet state quality standards, and most importantly, continue providing meaningful support for children's development. This process gives essential providers a structured path to strengthen their practice while maintaining their eligibility and services. If a school readiness provider receives a class composite score below a 4, and the Early Learning Coalition determines a provider is not an essential provider, they may request a second assessment, but this would be at their own cost. To move forward with this option, the provider must submit written notification within 30 days of receiving the composite score notification email. It's important to know that the new score must meet the contract minimum threshold in order for the program to maintain its eligibility and continue contracting with the coalition. This process gives providers an opportunity to improve their outcomes and stay in compliance with quality standards. If a VPK provider receives a class program composite score below the 4, they may request a second assessment, but please note this reassessment is optional and it is conducted at the provider's own cost if they want to try to improve their initial results. To initiate this process, the provider must send a written notification within 30 days of receiving the composite score notification email. Timing is key here as late requests may not be accepted. Again, this option is only available to providers who score below the 4.00 threshold. As part of the Quality Improvement Plan or the QIP, each program will receive a follow-up assessment. This second assessment must be completed within the final 60 days of the 12-month QIP period. This timing ensures that we capture progress and improvements accurately and consistently. However, if a provider chooses to end their QIP early, so that would be not the full 12 months, a second assessment can still be conducted, but it will be at the provider's expense. So it's important to plan accordingly and communicate with our team if there are any changes to your QIP timeline. After your class observation, you don't have to navigate the next steps alone. Our TA coaching staff is here to support you. They'll walk through your report with you, look closely at your scores, help address any questions or concerns, and work with you to build a plan for improving classroom interactions. This support is available year-round. It's open to all providers, no matter your score. You'll also continue to have access to professional development opportunities, ongoing class trainings, and tools like My Teachstone, where you can reflect on your feedback, complete targeted learning, and track progress over time. The goal is really to use this observation as a learning tool to strengthen your practice, not just to meet a requirement. This slide shows how class fits into a continuous quality improvement cycle. It all begins with collecting observation data. Class observations give us a clear picture of the interactions happening in classrooms every day. Next, we use that data to identify each teacher's individual needs because professional growth should be personalized, not one size fits all. With those needs in mind, we then provide feedback and create differentiated professional development plans that are specific, targeted, and aligned with real classroom experiences. Once those plans are in place, we provide the content and context needed for effective PD, whether through coaching, training, or reflective practice. The ultimate goal of this process is to impact the teaching practices that directly influence child outcomes, ensuring each child benefits from high-quality teacher-child interactions. And then the cycle continues because quality improvement is ongoing, it's responsive, and always centered on the children we serve. To help you continue growing your understanding of class, there are several great resources you can tap into anytime and at your own pace. First, the Teaching with Class podcast. This is a great way to listen to helpful tips and strategies while on the go. The episodes focus on real classroom challenges and how to use class tools in practical ways. Next is the Teachstone blog, which offers weekly articles filled with insights, strategies, and stories from the field. It's a great way to stay up to date with best practices. Storytime Live is a fun and educational way to bring class strategies into your story time. These sessions include downloadable reading guides that focus on instructional support. And finally, the Class Learning Community gives you access to a large network of educators, over 25,000 strong, where you can exchange ideas, access exclusive resources, and continue learning together. These resources are all free and available to support your growth and success with class. If you have any questions or need additional support after this session, feel free to reach out to our team directly. You can contact me, Victoria Kerrigan, at 561-514-3334 or at the email listed on the screen. And for day-to-day support or help with scheduling and logistics, you can also reach out to Julene Morrison, our assessment coordinator. She can be reached at 561-285-2197 or at the email listed on the screen. We're here to help and want to ensure you feel confident and supported throughout the class observation process. Thank you all so much for your time, attention, and commitment to quality early learning. We truly appreciate the work you do every day to support children, families, and your communities. As always, we're here to support you, whether it's with class observations, coaching, or simply being a resource when you need it. We look forward to continuing this journey with you. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again.